Hello, welcome. I'm Kasia Madera. You're watching The Context on BBC News. The White House has condemned the arrest of an American journalist in Russia. The Kremlin has accused him of spying. US journalist Evan Gershkovich was working for the Wall Street Journal in the city of Yekaterinburg at the time of his detention. The UK government's new plans to reduce carbon emissions to net zero come in for heavy criticism from environmental campaigners, saying that they don't go far enough. The plans come as there are fresh warnings about the impacts of rapid ice melt in the Antarctic. Tonight, with The Context, we are joined by Paul Vore, the chief political commentator for the paper and the former spokesperson for the Republican National Committee, Doug Heye. Hello and welcome. The White House has advised all US citizens residing or travelling in Russia to leave immediately. Now, this follows the arrest of a journalist for the Wall Street Journal on spying charges. Evan Gershkovich has been remanded in custody for 2 months after being detained by Russia's domestic security service, the FSB. It says the journalist was acting on US instructions and that he'd collected information constituting a state secret about the activities of a Russian defence enterprise. Well, the Wall Street Journal denies this, and the NGO Reporters Without Borders says that Evan Gershkovich was investigating the Wagner military company. That's the Russian mercenary group which is fighting in Ukraine, saying that this seems to be a retaliation measure. Well, we've heard from the Kremlin too. It's not the most positive note on which to end this discussion, but I just want to take a moment to really thank our experts, because it's been fascinating to hear from Dr. Liz Thomas from the British Antarctic Survey, just really explaining that so well to us in terms of the currents and the change in the oceans. And Sir David King, thank you so much for taking the time to talk through with us what we've been hearing and just making us realise, okay, as Doug was saying there, perhaps not at the top of voters' minds, but it is important and people need to get their heads around it. Thank you for watching The Context. Don't go away. I'm back in the next few minutes. Hello, welcome. I'm Kasia Madera. You're watching The Context on BBC News. Ron DeSantis replaces the board overseeing Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, only to find its powers have been stripped away. And there's more bad news for the Florida governor as a Fox News poll finds Donald Trump is increasing his lead in a prospective Republican presidential bid. The man who was spared chemotherapy for bowel cancer thanks to trials of a revolutionary new blood test which could spare thousands from having unnecessary chemo every year. And 13 years after being dropped in the Colorado River, a camera is returned to its owner. Tonight, with The Context, Paul Vore, chief political commentator for the paper and the former spokesperson for the Republican National Committee, Doug Heye. We are starting in Florida, where you may remember Governor Ron DeSantis ended Disney's self-governing status over its Orlando theme parks after Disney criticised Florida's Parental Rights in Education Act, more commonly known as the Don't Say Gay law. Well, Ron DeSantis' plan has hit a bit of a snag.
Look, I'm a fan of the former prime minister and mayor, but you know, we have crazy politics here as well, and it's understandable people want to forget them pretty quickly.
Oh my goodness. It's in your words, crazy politics were your words. I just want to take the time just to thank Doug Heye and Paul Vore for sharing your experiences and your opinions when it comes to the crazy politics. Thank you so much for being on The Context, and to my brilliant team here on the programme across BBC News. Thank you very much for being with me. I'm Kasia Madera. Do get in touch at Kasia Madera on Twitter. It would be great to hear from you. Bye-bye.